Hello again, fourth graders. So to this point, we've decomposed the whole into tenths, we've identified decimal and fraction equivalents, and we've made some real world connections with pieces, parts, and portions. Today, we're going to just explore more relationships with decimals and fractions. Our I can statement for today is, I can identify decimal and fraction relationships for halves, fourths, fifths, and tenths. Relationships. What does that word mean to you? If you said connections or associations, you're absolutely correct. So our goal for today is to identify decimal and fraction relationships or how they're connected for halves, fourths, fifths, and tenths. Well, we've worked a bit with halves, fourths, and tenths, so our learning today will focus mainly on fifths. All you'll need for this lesson is paper and pencil. Let's begin. Please number your paper from 1 to 7. And here are your directions. For each card, identify a decimal or fraction equivalent. For each card, identify a decimal or fraction equivalent. And we'll go right in order, starting with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Press pause to give yourself some think time and some work time, and when you're ready, press play to reveal the answers. How did you do? Let's take a look at some possible solutions. 1/10, written as a decimal. 1/10 as a fraction. 25 hundredths, 1/4 as a fraction. Or you could have written 25 over 100. 75 hundredths, 3/4. Hmm. Oh, because we remember they were connected. They have a relationship. 5/10 could have been written as 5/10 decimal, or you could have written 1/2 because there's a relationship there too. 75 hundredths, 75 cents, 75 over 100, 40 hundredths. Some of you may have written 4/10 because you remember that they name the same part. They're just written differently. They're represented differently. And 2/10, 0.22. How did you do? Great job. Let's keep moving. Okay, our learning for today. Think about it. How did we find a decimal equivalent for a fraction with 5 as the denominator or fifths? Take some time to think about that and share your thoughts. If you have someone at home to talk with, share your thoughts. How do we find a decimal equivalent for a fraction with 5 as the denominator or fifths? Here we see 1/5 in its unit form, and we see a fractional part. One part out of the 5 is shaded. Okay, what did you come up with? So let's start here. What decimal do you see? What is the fraction equivalent? 1/10 or 1/10? Okay. So how can we use the information above to determine the decimal equivalent for 1/5? How can we use this to determine the decimal equivalent for 1/5? So this was easy. 1/10, we easily was able to identify its fraction equivalent, 1/10. But it's not so easy with 1/5. So how can we use this to determine a decimal equivalent for 1/5? Well, let's see. Here's the information again. So what do you think about 2/10? If we were given 2/10, what do we know about 2/10? Hmm. Hmm. 2/10 is equivalent to 1/5. How do we know that? Well, we had to use a division strategy. And we remember that from our fractions unit when we had to simplify fractions. We were either given a multiplication strategy to find an equivalent fraction or a division strategy. In this case, we want to use a division strategy to find the equivalent fraction. Okay, so if we divide 2/10 by 2, we come up with 1/5. Awesome. Let's explore that a little more. Hmm. Look at how 1/5 is represented as a fraction and then as a decimal. Remember, they all name the same part, they're just represented differently. So here we have the unit form, we have a fractional part, and we have fractional part here. But look at the decimal form, or how it can be represented as a decimal. Okay, several different ways: 20 hundredths, 2/10, 2 dimes. That represents our 20 over 100. So again, they all name the same part. They're just represented differently. 1/5, this means this. Or this is the same as this. This can be the same as this. Okay? We can take it a step further. Okay? Let's take a look at this model. The arrow points to a different section or different piece of the whole. The whole is divided into 5 pieces, and each piece represents 2/10, 20 hundredths, or 1/5. Here you see at the bottom 1/5 plus 1/5 plus 1/5 plus 1/5 plus 1/5 equals 5/5 or the whole. Okay? We can look at it another way. The circle means the same as your base 10 model. Each piece represents a different part of the whole. And in this case, it can represent 1/5. So you have 1/5, 1/5, 1/5, 1/5, 1/5. Or just as it is with this model, each piece represents 20 hundredths. 20, 40, 60, 80, 100. How cool is that? One piece is 20 hundredths. One piece, 20 hundredths or 1/5. Oh, look at those connections. Mhm. Okay, so if and then, think about it. Let's give it a try. Well, if we know what 1/5 is, what do you think 2/5 is? Hmm. If you know what 4/5 is, if you know what 1/5 or 2/5 is, what do you think 4/5 is? Give it a try. Go ahead and write an answer down on your paper. Okay. Once again, if we know what 1/5 is as a decimal, what do you think 2/5 is as a decimal? And what about 4/5? What do you think 4/5 is as a decimal? All right, let's see. Yeah, 2/5 as a decimal is 40 hundredths. Okay. Well, what about 4/5? Hmm. Hmm. Use some think time. Let's see. Yeah, 80 hundredths. Remember, you got to think about your sections and how many sections are filled. Okay, awesome. Okay, I think that's it for today. Easy, right? Yeah, so let's recap. I can identify decimal and fraction relationships for halves, fourths, fifths, and tenths. Mainly today, we focus on fifths. So what do you think? Do you think you were able to do that successfully? I think so. Okay. For more practice, please be sure to click the link. You can use the same paper and pencil to complete the practice set. Okay. That's all for today. Thank you, and I'll see you soon.